Welcome, sir.
My man. Long
Long time, man. I've been thinking of having what do you call this? An electrical engineer and who is in the consulting space,
Yeah.
right? And I think I don't wanna limit you and your and your titles and everything,
Yeah.
but please introduce yourself to the listeners and what you do.
Okay. I'm Africa Sikho Ndzeku, as per the Home Affairs. But normally people know me as Sikho.
Yeah.
I'm an electrical engineer. I work for Cyntech engineers and managers, and I'm doing my masters at CPUT.
Yeah. The man went on to do his masters and you're actually finishing.
Yeah, I'm completing this year. Yeah, I've been dragging it for a very long time.
How's the journey?
That?
The journey of doing your masters.
My man, it was quite good, I would say. But obviously, when we hit COVID, and I just lost my momentum.
Okay.
So I started my master's in 2019. I was doing course-based, right? So it's subjects and a mini thesis at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2019 I did all my subjects. Then 2020 I started with my proposal, submitted it, got approved in 2020. So 2021 I was supposed to start with my thesis writing.
Sure.
Which never happened, by the way.
Is that why you say you dragged it a
Yeah,
bit?
that's the reason why it dragged.
Yeah.
I didn't have momentum because of COVID, and some personal issues. So 2022, with the help of my girlfriend, and she was pushing me. She's pushed me until right now. So I'm finishing this year.
Oh, that's good, man. I mean, maybe the thing is, I'm trying to run away from catching. Okay, but for those people who don't know, we studied together. I think we started the same year.
Yeah.
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Right. And you see different characters and different people, and you just don't know where are we going to end up. But I mean, you did very well for yourself, and I mean now you're even doing your masters. It shows that you're still focused.
Yeah,
right.
no, still focused.
I just want to know, what kind of a student were you back in the days, our CPUT days? What kind of a student were you in terms of being focused? Because I know sometimes we would play around. I mean, like we just
people would be so shocked. Yeah.
Sure.
But anyway, I always reflect back as to why did I end up doing electrical engineering.
Okay.
Because it was never my first choice. It was my third choice.
Okay. So what was number 1 and 2?
So number 1 was sports science.
Okay.
And my mother basically told me, you're not doing it, right?
Okay.
Do you know a black sports agent or whatever? I was like, okay.
You were thinking of being a Mbappe's agent.
So she was like,
Sure.
nah, you're not doing it. So I
Sure.
said, okay, no problem. Second choice, chemical engineering.
Okay.
Because I loved it. I love chemistry. And she said, where are you going? I'm like, no, I'm just going to PE. And she said, no, I don't want you in the Eastern Cape. I said, Aibo, what's the problem now? She said, no, you're going to want to come home every weekend.
Okay.
So I don't want you here.
Yeah.
So then she said, no, go with your sister, go to Cape Town, find a school there.
Yeah.
So I ended up in Cape Town that way, but I didn't apply at CPUT.
Okay.
But luckily, my sister studied at CPUT.
Oh, okay.
So she had connections there, and she spoke to the right people, and I got a space, to
Sure.
study.
Yeah.
So that was 2012.
Sure.
But the interesting thing is, the reason why electrical was my third choice is because Physics itself, it was so difficult.
Oh, okay. So you didn't like the voltage side of
I
things?
didn't like it at all.
Sure.
So my first year I was such a hard worker. I mean, if you know me very well.
Yeah, and I remember those
My
days.
first year, I was putting in 150%.
Yeah.
Just making sure that, I pass and excel. Because I was scared of the subject. I was scared of the entire course, in fact. So the first year went well. Got my distinctions. It was nice and all.
Sure.
So now, now interestingly, the potting started second year.
Sure. Sure.
The potting started second year.
Yeah.
So I was like, second year, come on, this thing is easy, I know when to study, right?
So you had a routine already?
I had a routine now.
Sure.
Go to class, right? After class, go to the library. At around about 8, I go to my room, make food, take a nap, an hour or two, go back to the IT center, say about 11 or 12 o'clock.
You're done.
When the IT center closes at 6, that's when I leave.
So that was your routine?
That was my routine.
Okay.
So when people were studying on Fridays and like weekends, I was like, what are you guys doing? It's a weekend.
It's a weekend.
Yeah. It's a weekend.
Sure.
We need to drink, guys. I remember Abo Palesa.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, they used to like call me during the week. I'm like, guys, I used to go drink.
Sure.
I don't have time for this. I'll see you on Monday. So that was my routine.
But the routine for you, it worked, right?
Yeah, it worked. Monday to Thursday, I'm focused, right? No clubbing, no drinking, no nothing. Friday to Sunday, I'm gone. You don't even see me on campus. You don't even see me on campus. I'm back on Monday, back to class, And that worked for me until, I'll say, throughout my diploma.
A diploma, yeah.
Yeah, it worked.
And what, can you please just talk about the balance of that? Like, why did you find that routine working for you, and the balance, how did it work for you? And maybe just talk in terms of the balance between work and best, like for us to be studying and your own personal life.
Like recently.
No, I mean back
Or
then. Back then, yeah.
So, look, I'll put it this way, right? You know that you're not clever.
Okay.
Right? And you have to put in extra work in order for you to excel in your studies.
Yeah.
Right? So what people don't know about me or my former classmates that time is that when I went to class, whatever was taught that time, I'd already studied it.
Okay.
Right? So I'd get to class for a matter of understanding. Maybe what I learned it not the correct way. I understood it incorrectly. So when I got to class, I at least got more information, clarity.
Yeah.
So I was always ahead, right? Only because I wanted to include my personal life or entertainment so that it doesn't clash with my studies, right?
Sure.
So it's, even when the exam time came, I made sure that during the week I study, right? Weekends I had a time limit.
Okay.
Right? I used to study from 1 until 6 o'clock in the evening. After that, I go to the barn.
Okay.
Right? I'm done studying. There's no pressure. I've put in the work, so I'm giving myself time to cool off. So it wasn't rocket science, but all I told myself was, one, you're not clever, and if you want to pass, you have to put in the extra work.
Wow. I wish I was close to you then. Maybe I might have I would have not taken so long to finish my diploma.
No, it's not that, man. You know,
Sure.
what I believe in is there's Xhosa sithi yonke into inexesha layo.
Okay.
So everything has its time, right? You can't expect because I completed my diploma first, and because we were studying together, you also expect the same thing. You know,
Sure.
there's a guy I used to study with. He was our classmate, but he was from PE. I forgot his name. That oak, I studied. That oak put in 500% more than me.
Sure.
He pushed, right? He used to squat at my room. So I'd used to leave him there and go drink. Come back, and he's still
Find him
studying,
pushing, yeah.
right? And that made me frightened, you know. But he ended up failing. You know, he ended up failing.
Was he pushing or was he on YouTube?
Sorry?
Was he pushing or he was on YouTube?
No, he was pushing. It was because he was very good. He was very good.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened. Do you understand? I can't explain it to you. But anyway, he failed and he dropped out. I think he changed universities, right?
Okay.
I think he went to Wits or something, right? And he excelled there. Now he's in, I think he's a technician in the medical industry.
Okay.
You see, he excelled. So it's a matter of time, right?
Okay, I see
it's
what you
time
mean,
and
yeah.
space. You know, it's time and space.
Gets back to the reference that you made.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can't expect to drive a Mercedes because I'm driving a Mercedes.
Sure.
It doesn't work like that.
Sure.
God has
His own way.
exactly.
Yonke into nexesha layo.
You're gonna let us lie about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it looks like, but this is just looking from outside. It looks like you, from this conversation, by the way, it looks like you took this quality that you had in varsity and applied it at work. You are currently an associate in your company, right? How? Because this question I want is gonna be multi-layered, right?
Yeah.
How do you plan your career growth and to get to a point where you're becoming an associate partner in your company? Yeah.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, right, is if I had never met my boss,
Okay.
Ashley, for help, I wouldn't have been where I am, bro. To be honest.
Kudos to him.
Yeah. Kudos to him, bro.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
Said Ashley?
Ashley for help.
Okay.
He's the director of Cyntech.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the director of Cyntech. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been here. I always say whatever I know is Ashley. So even sometimes my style of working, my style of designing at work is groomed from Ashley. So
Sure.
I make sure I keep his standard, you know. So just going back to your question is, so Ashley got me in 2014 when I was looking for in-service training, right? So we're working for a company called M&J Projects, right? And since then, he's been my mentor,
Sure.
right? It's a person that I look up to in industry and sometimes personal life, you know, because he's always been there for me, whether it's work-related or whether it's personal life,
Yeah.
but he's always been there.
Sure.
So he's my mentor, right? He's been taking me through the steps, you know, in the industry. He advised me to do my BTech in electrical
Okay.
because I wanted to do it in project management.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's doing electrical, right? And after that, you gain your 3 years experience. Then we register you as for a professional technician with ECSA, right?
So he's the one who's actually pushing you to do all this.
He's been pushing me.
Okay.
He's been pushing me. As I said, time and space. Scott, bro. Scott. So he's been pushing me until this point. he'd love, but he's got a plan for me, right?
Sure.
So when I joined him, then he told me we got a 5-year plan. After 5 years, you must be there, right? So then he started Cyntech in 2017.
Okay.
Then I had to resign also at MJ Projects, then join him at Cyntech, right? So when he joined, and he told me, different platform, different
culture, new culture, everything.
Different mindset and different plan. So then he had a 10-year plan for me, right?
Okay, so it moved from 5 to 10. Okay.
5 to 10. So part of that now was you becoming an associate, and you becoming a professional engineer now, right? Hence why I'm doing my master's.
Okay.
Yeah, because my master's is an M-Eng, not an M-Tech.
Oh, I see.
Yes, yeah.
And are you doing with CPT?
CPT, yeah.
Also, they do offer that, the MH.
Yeah, we were the first group.
Or is it the transition with the advanced diploma?
Yeah,
and
M-Tech
everything
to
M-Tech.
M-Eng.
Oh, okay, sure.
So the first group to do an M-Eng in smart grid as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we part of the smart. Okay, I'm doing more smart grid. M-Eng and smart grid. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got a plan for me, and hopefully one of the plans is me becoming a director.
That sounds exciting, man, and adventurous. How is it like being part of a growing company, and what kind of drilling and because like you said that they said new mindset, new everything is just new. Like what is that process like? Because I don't know how long you have been in the business now. It's Cyntech, but I just want to know how long. What is the planning and the growing of the company like?
Yeah, look, as I said, even Ashley has planned my journey.
Sure.
You know, as a professional, right?
Yeah.
But still, I have to put in the work. You know, I have to put in the work to show that I am dedicated. You know, I am there to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, I've you know, if you tell me to wake up at 8 to finish a project, that's fine with me.
Sure.
Right? As long as I'm going to benefit at the end.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So, you know, electrical itself requires you to push, right? Remember, there's revolving technology. So you have to be always different than the next person, right? So if you come, right, and obviously you're knowledgeable to some degree, right? But you must always try to be better than the next person.
Yeah.
Right? So you must bring something different to the table, right? So that's what I try to do, right? Even I get guidance, good, but I must always try to be better. Whatever I do, I need to be better. Whatever I do, I need to be better. That's basically how, you know, I am. That's me. That's typical me.
Sure.
You know, I think my father was like this, and I think my mother is like this. You need to just try and push and become a better person.
Okay. So in terms of maybe another question would be in terms of company culture. Did you guys work on the company culture, or something which you used a template from a different company and then coming in to use it in your own the one that you started with your mentor?
Yeah. So it's quite difficult, right? But working with engineers, because remember, we're all engineers at work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're all engineers, and we all try to do engineering things, you know. But remember, we're a company now, right? And we have to adapt to HR and these work cultures,
paperwork,
and all these things. It's so difficult, right?
Okay.
It's so difficult. But we've tried over the years, or the company has tried over the years to, you know, bring in a different culture, right? A culture of not policing people, right?
Micromanaging.
Yeah, micromanaging. a culture of taking responsibility of your work.
Sure.
So if I do my work, I can't say tomorrow if something goes wrong on site, no, it wasn't me, it was the next person. So you take responsibility for your own work, right? So at that alone, if a company does that, right, you're bound to excel because you're going to make a mistake, then you're going to learn from that mistake, and you know that going forward you do not want to make the same mistake, right? So for the past, so I've been working for Cyntech for 6-7 years now, right? For the past 3 to 4 years, I've taken a responsibility for my own work, right? So if something goes wrong on site, they contact me.
Yeah.
This is what we see. Something's incorrect. Where can we fix? Whatever, right? So the company culture is that we do not police you. 1.
Yeah.
And 2, you take responsibility of your own work.
Yeah.
That makes you grow.
I think I like that, man, because sometimes you'd wish companies had a template of how to train their people, because if you're not being trusted with projects, that means there's no way you're gonna make those crucial mistakes which you're gonna learn from.
Yeah.
Because I would like to believe that you made mistakes as well, and you learned a lot from those mistakes, right? Maybe let's talk about the journey in terms of the technical side of being an engineer.
Yeah.
Because in our industry, we work with almost each and every field of electricity, whether you talk about solar or maybe schools or hospitals. We are consultants. We're there. We can solve your problems. What has been, or maybe let me put it this way: which project did you work on, and which you felt like, this was like a big mess up, and what did you learn from it, and the maybe the process as well in terms of how you learn from it and how you increase your information in terms of becoming a more competent electrical engineer.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to say something, but I forgot what I wanted to say. But just going back to your question now is, okay, I know exactly what I wanted to say.
Sure.
So, because you're talking about technical, I think in the consulting industry, right, or where I work, is that 20% of the time you do engineering, right? 20% of the time you do engineering, designs, technical.
Sure.
80% is management. You're managing people and you're managing contracts.
Yeah.
Right? That's consulting.
Sure.
Right? And which is different because you think that 90% of the time
you're designing,
right? And 10% you're just managing people. It's the other way around.
Sure.
Yeah. But the 20% requires like 100 hours. Right? Then the managing part now, it requires less hours but at a longer period.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch base on that.
Sure.
Is that people think you're always designing,
sure,
but it's a matter of managing people and managing a project.
Because in a sense, it's like you're an instant, especially in our field, it's like you're an instant project manager of some sort.
You'd say project engineer.
Okay, I like
project
that,
engineer, yeah.
Like a project engineer.
Yeah, so you're project management.
Okay.
But you're also an engineer.
Sure.
Yeah, so you're project engineer.
I like that, project engineer, yeah.
So now going back to your question.
Yeah.
I've done plenty of projects,
Okay.
I've done plenty of projects, but I'll tell you about 2 projects.
Sure.
Right? One, but I'm not going to mention any clients or anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Please protect yourself.
We did a project at one of the sites in Cape Town.
Okay.
Where we did a gantry upgrade project.
Sure.
Right. So gantry upgrade project.
Just explain what gantry.
Yeah. So a gantry is a loading bay, right, where trucks come in and load, right. So they load to take fuel to other service stations around the city, right. So we were upgrading their system. They were using an old system, and there's a new system called Acculoads.
Okay.
Right? Accuload is a device that's supplied by FMC in America.
Okay. Are you talking about, is this controls?
Yeah, it's like a control system.
Okay. Did you had to learn about controls, or how did you?
I never studied controls. Really.
I know. That's why I'm asking. Oh, is that part of the story?
I never studied controls, right?
Sure.
I never studied controls. Let me just go back a little bit.
Sure.
This thing is interesting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And students or people which are in the electrical field or studying electrical,
Yeah.
they need to be aware of this.
Okay.
Right? Electrical engineering is not about ESCOM. It's not about City of Cape Town or working for a municipality, right? There's plenty of other industries
Yeah.
other than working for ESCOM, which is mainly heavy current, or working for the municipality, right? Now people need to consider the other fields. I'm in the oil and gas industry.
Okay.
Someone else is doing solar. Someone is in the medical industry. Other one's telecoms,
Yeah.
The other one mainly controls. So there's many industries, right? So when, I took this discussion to CPUT once.
Okay.
Right? And I told them I struggled, right? Only because I was never taught AutoCAD.
Oh, that's a big one.
I was never taught AutoCAD, right? 2, we were never told PLCs.
Yeah.
Only because, of course, I did power electronics.
Yeah.
Right?
Power systems.
Power systems, yeah. I wasn't doing controls. That's if they did PLCs that time.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think what we did was just mainly C programming.
Yeah, that was just simple. And I think with them, it was a stream on its own, which was process instrumentation. That's when you did the PLCs,
and stuff,
and all those stuff.
So you see now, I came from a power electronics background, and I ended up in a consulting firm. Consulting firm don't do power electronics. They do not do power electronics, right? So now I had to learn about relays. What is relay? I was never taught that.
Yeah.
Right? Because what we usually deal with is connecting up a cable, you walk away, right? Because I didn't do control systems, I wouldn't have known what a relay is until I got to the consulting industry, right? So I learned that, right? So that was 2014, learned controls, learned how to design using AutoCAD electrical. Then I was given my first project.
Okay.
That you've been a draftsman now, right? You understand the technical details around designing, right? So now design this project and run it.
Yeah, project engineer it.
And run it.
Sure.
So we're doing the gantry upgrade project now, right? And I took that responsibility, site meetings, I was chairing it.
So you're the one who was chairing?
Chairing site meetings.
Okay.
I had my electrical contractor there, giving him his scope, what he needs to do. You need to do inspections.
How was that like?
It was scary at first, right? But because the company has given you responsibility,
yes,
right? So in a nutshell, you're there to represent the company, right? You can't fail, right? You can't fail. You have to represent the company to the core, right? You have to defend the company, basically, right? Things go wrong on site, and people point fingers.
They start looking for emails.
Do you understand? But you're there to represent the company, and you need to understand your story.
Sure.
Right? So when you design, you need to understand every detail, right? Because when something goes wrong, you can't be now looking around and asking questions, right? You need to be on par.
Sure.
You need to understand. So we started with the project, gantry upgrade project, 7 bays. So we're doing a bay at a time, right?
Okay.
So you decommission one bay, install the new system,
Okay.
right? Commission it, working, walk away.
Okay.
Did that process for 6 bays, right? Then I think the company didn't have funds to continue
Yeah.
with the 7th bay,
Okay.
right? Anyways, walked away, problem started.
So the problem don't start whilst you are working on it. They start after.
So that time they were intimate,
Okay.
right? But it just became worse when we walked off site,
Okay.
right? So sometimes as engineers, you always think, but this thing has been working for a year. Why is it failing now?
Okay.
Right? You always have that thought, but
Okay.
it worked for the whole week. Why did it decide to fail today? Anyway, the control valves failed.
Okay.
No, the system failed. Trucks couldn't load, and people started pointing fingers. And the first thing that they point at, electrical.
Yeah, I think electrical most of the time is the easy target.
It's an easy target, yeah, because it's got wires and
Yeah.
So like electrical, hey, come answer, yeah. So now I had to. I remember one Friday, I went back to the office. There was a whiteboard where the office in Sikho City. There was a whiteboard there, and I took a technical data sheet of the control valve.
Okay.
And I drew it on the board. To maybe I'm missing something. How does this thing work?
Okay.
Right? So I can take this logic and explain it to the guys that we've done our work perfectly. Right? So I did that exercise,
And just before you explain that part, like how's the mood in the office?
Now remember when things are not working, right? As a client there, and there's a project engineer, right? They report to a higher up office,
Sure.
right? And when things are not working, remember this is fuel.
Yeah,
Right.
and then it's sensitive to it.
Exactly, right? And it has to move. It has to move. When the truck is not moving, there's a problem. Because remember, inside a depot, right? You get the engineers that deal with maintaining the depot, the site,
Sure.
right? But now there's another department, right, that deals with selling of the fuel.
Sure.
Do you understand? So if they can't move the fuel, you use the project engineer in trouble, right? Because they go to your boss and like, we haven't been moving fuel here for the past 2 hours. We're not talking days.
No, I think it's lots of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking hours. They have to move it, right? So hence why you need to ensure that when you design, there's no standing time on site. Your gantry must remain operational at all times.
Sure. Okay.
The truck must come and go, right? It mustn't waste time there. It must come and go because it's business to them, right? And our job is to maintain their systems, right? But if their systems fail because of us, then we're not doing the job, right? And that was the core. I needed to understand what I was missing, right? But throughout my investigations, we found that the problem is not an electrical problem, right? It's to do with a mechanical problem where the valves were not quality checked back at the manufacturer's factory.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue was, you know. But obviously, we had to do our checks, right, to cover ourselves.
Sure.
To say, no, we've done everything perfectly, you know. That was one. The second thing, the same project, right? Comms, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to utilize RS485 communication, right? RS-485 Modbus communication.
I'm clueless when it comes to comms.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Sure.
So you know there's Ethernet,
Okay, sure.
right? But old technology they used RS-485 Modbus, right?
Okay.
So you get RS-485 Modbus and you get Modbus TCP, right?
Okay.
Which is basically Ethernet, right? So we wanted to, or we advised the client, guys, there's problems with Modbus, right? Because you're using copper cabling, it's copper, right? You get problems of interference, you get problems of distance, right? So rather go Ethernet, right? Ethernet goes to about like 100 meters, right? And even Modbus is fine, right? Because previously the site was using Modbus,
Okay.
right? For communication.
Sure.
But for some reason, when we were upgrading the system now, right? And because the client wanted to stick with Modbus, right? Never worked.
They don't really care.
Didn't work. And now it's an electrical problem.
Yeah.
My man, we did everything we could. Everything. We separated. Remember now, your AC cabling and your DC cabling must be separate.
They're separate, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your comms must be separate, right? Did everything. We earthed cables, we did everything. It didn't work,
Yeah.
right? And we ended up installing Ethernet, right? So if you ask me now why that RS-485 wasn't working, I can't answer you, right? Because it was wired properly, right? It was tested, loop checked and everything, right? But it just didn't work,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was so weird, right? Which it was so weird. Which, look, this was one of my discussions when I did my report for ECSA,
Okay.
that we had this problem on site,
Yeah.
right? But we couldn't solve it. We did all our checks, right? Did everything, but we couldn't resolve it.
Sure.
You know, and we ended up solving it by installing Ethernet comms. You know, so where I'm going with this is that you get problems on site, right? But you need to make sure that you address them, right? And they are fixed at that time.
Yeah.
They must not affect the operation.
Yes.
Right? If it does affect operations, make sure whatever was installed, put it back until you guys resolve the problem that you're facing. You know, because the most important thing, as I said,
It's a business to keep on
operation
pushing. Yeah.
mustn't stop.
Yeah. I think I like that you have actually touched on project management and managing project engineering. I like how you just chop down everything, right? I just want you to just put me into the process of just explain to me the process of registering for ECSA. And for those who don't know, and for me, because I'm planning towards doing that, but I just want to understand, okay, what is the process like? How does the reports look like? Because only this year, that's when I actually realized, okay, let me just go through some those notes that they tell you, okay, please download this and get to understand what is it that's needed from you.
Yeah.
I just want to understand, because since you're already a registered engineer, what is that process like for you?
Yeah, okay. So let me just explain the process now.
Okay.
It's quite important that engineers do register with ECSA.
Okay.
Right? It's a professional body, right? And we need to register with ECSA as engineers. Lawyers have their own body, doctors have their own body, auditors have their own body.
Accountants, yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a problem with engineers and they do not want to register. And it's important that we register, right? And when you registered, that's when you also get the responsibility. You know, you've got a responsibility to adhere to a code of conduct, you know. And there's so many responsibilities, like signing off projects. So you get that responsibility.
Yes.
So You first have to become a candidate.
Yeah.
Right? So it's either a candidate engineer, that's when you studied a BSc degree or PhD degree, right? Candidate technologist, BTech, right? Candidate technician, you did your diploma, right? So I first registered as a candidate technician because I had a diploma then.
Diploma, yeah. Sure.
Then afterwards, I registered as no, actually, I didn't register as a candidate.
Technologist.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. So
You just went straight into.
I just went straight now. So
Okay.
I registered as a candidate technician, right? Got my 3 years experience.
Okay, sure.
Right? Because in order for you to register as a professional now, you have to have 3 years experience.
Minimum. Sure.
Right? So I registered as a professional technician.
Sure.
I had my 3 years experience. At that time, I already had my BTech as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I registered as a professional technician. So that process basically, in that application, you have to have a report, right? So your report includes all your projects that you've done.
Yeah.
So you need to have technical projects, right? And you also need to have a sense of project management.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's many disciplines. You can't be wiring
Design.
or
Okay.
designing only.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because they ask you questions at the interview, right? And also there's 11 outcomes which you need to answer.
Okay.
So you have to have a discipline of designing, a discipline of project management, a discipline of engaging with stakeholders, attending meetings, engaging
Sharing
directly
meetings.
with clients,
Yes.
all of those things, right? So it goes back to Ashley knew this already. So he trained me to be...
So you were being set up properly.
Exactly. Yeah, he set me up properly. Because he knew this is what is required, so this is what you're going to follow.
Sure.
Right? But the issue is other engineers in industry, in your big, especially big corporates, right? No one guides you. Right? Because no one has time. Right? In small companies, right, you get that feeling, that mentor, right, that guides you, right, because they work directly with you.
Yeah.
Right. In a company where there's 200 people, who's gonna guide you?
You just have to do what you're given.
Do your work and go home.
Yeah.
Right. So Ashley guided me, right. Then just going back. So in that report, right, you need to mention your projects, right. All the projects that you did, right, or the most interesting ones, right. So what I did, I include all the interesting ones which had problems.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Mention all the interesting ones which had problems, right? And because you have to mention how you solved the problems, right? Because being an engineer, there's problems and you have to solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's being an engineer.
True.
Yeah. So then after that report writing of your projects, then you have to fill in 11 outcomes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 11 outcomes is what you going to present now when
Okay.
they call you for an interview.
Sure.
Right. So it goes back to they ask you questions like, did you have a problem in a project that you did? Mention the problem, how you solved it. Right.
Okay, I'm gonna ask about the interview, but you can just continue.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which engineering principle do you use? They talk about ethics. Now at ECSA, ethics is very high.
Okay.
Ethics. Yeah. Ethics very high. We speak about ethics. They talk about cultural, public. That's one of the code of conducts. You have to adhere to cultural, public safety. So if you see something wrong on the road, electrically, it's upon you to report it.
Oh, so that's what you're signing up to.
Yeah.
Okay, I get
it's upon you. You need to report it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if you're seeing an engineering design that went wrong, you you need to report it.
It's like us as designers. Every time we go to malls, we're looking at the lighting.
Exactly.
Like, is the
There's not
lighting
enough
fine?
lux, yeah.
Yeah,
You see.
sure.
I
I
mean,
get it.
there's obviously a code, right, that guides you to say in a certain room,
Yes.
you need 500 lux,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you can say it's not 500 likes, it's upon you to inform the next person that, guys, you need to upgrade your light.
Sure.
It's not enough, you know. That's what ECSA guides you to do, right?
Okay.
So in the interview now, right? So they first review your document, you know, then they'll tell you, no, go back,
Okay, I see.
or we're calling you for an interview.
Yeah.
Right. So I was lucky. They called me for an interview.
Yeah.
Right. And part of the interview, I had to present now the 11 outcomes which were on that report.
Sure.
Now, what they're testing now is that what you told us in that report and what you're going to tell us is true.
Okay. So your story must
They must
match.
line up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Must line up.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that everything was clear on my report. They just asked me 2 questions,
Okay.
right? Because everything was clear, it was detailed, right? And it's just, they got it. No, we could. I think they gave me about, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 12 minutes.
Really?
12 minutes, eh? Yeah, to present those 11 outcomes. Then after that, they ask you questions. You know, they told me, okay, thank you. We've read your report.
How intense is it? Is it?
It's not intense, like you're presenting an oral or something.
Okay. Okay.
The PowerPoint. Yeah. I mean, you've had your 11 outcomes already. They've read it, right? I think all they're testing is,
Do you actually know the work?
do you know the work?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you're in front of us now. So tell us what you wrote there in front of us. That's what they're testing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, lucky enough, they asked me 2 questions. They know everything is clear on your report. There's just 2 things that we want to ask. One thing was relating to a design I did, right? For an apartment, right? So I did a calculation, and that calculation required that we apply for a supply of electricity from the city of Cape Town, right?
Okay.
I can't remember quite well, but I think we requested like 100 kVA
Okay.
from the city of Cape Town, right? Because the apartments, I think, required 12 kVA each, right?
Okay.
But you know, Sense 10142, I think it guides you that a house needs 4 kVA, right?
Okay.
So there's a guy, the doctor, right? I think is a lecturer, a professor, lecturer at UCT, and guys from Transnet. And he asked me, have you read Sense 10142? I said, yes.
Yeah.
And they said, what is the standard for designing a supply for household? I think I said 4 kVA. And he said, but you've mentioned that 12 kVA. So I told them, 1, when was the standard written? Right? 2, technology. Technology evolves. Right? Then people are comfortable having lights, a geyser.
That's all. Yeah.
Right? But now,
I've got
people
heaters.
have washing machines, tumble dryers, motors, house automation. You know, people have basically a warehouse in their backyards.
Sure.
So we need to cater for those things, right? It's not something that was time sucked. You know, it's a design, and we're told specifically that we need to cater for such things, right? and our deviation factor, I think, was 0.5. You know, because you're not going to run your motor for 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Yeah,
understand?
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to cater for those things. We understand there's a code, you know, but we need to factor in what if a house needs more than 4 kVA. What happens?
It's a good comeback for. I say it's a good comeback for the question that they asked.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so I answered them. I said, okay, makes sense. You know, I can't remember the second question they asked me.
Yeah.
The second question they asked me was about I think what formula. It was a formula that I put there. But it's a formula, like it's a simple formula. So they were so surprised that I solved a problem with a simple formula. You know?
Okay.
And I told them, this is the formula. You know, there's no other way to calculate this.
Sure.
I have to use that formula. You know, and I think it had to do with voltage. Because at the same site I was telling you about, right? There's a 10 gauging system, right? So a level alarm or level gauging system.
Okay.
Right. They've got level transmitters on top of the tanks. So one company did the design.
Okay.
Right. So when we took over the site, we wanted to relocate now that system into the new MCC.
Okay.
So in the new room, right? So when we tried moving it, it just dropped the site completely. So that was a 24-volt system.
Okay.
Right? So as soon as we tried moving it, it dropped down everything. Right? So, okay, there's a voltage problem. So how do you solve it? So I use the formula. I can't even remember which formula I use now. But it had to do with voltage and resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've just because when I was thinking of having you, I was just thinking of the progress that you have made in a very short space of time, because the electrical world, this is what I've been told, that the learning curve is very long, so you won't end up knowing everything in the same
No, you can't be a master, bro.
in 5 years or 6 years.
Yeah,
You need something like 20 years to be comfortable, and even the 20 years you're not that comfortable, because even with the times I improve, with times the technology is increasing and things are improving, so you have to kind of like constantly improve yourself,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So I wanted to have you around so that at least I can just have an idea, in a sense, you know, they say iron sharpens iron. So at least I can learn from, in terms of what are the systems that you used in order to grow your career. And I actually like it a lot, because at least you did touch in terms of, I think one of the takeaways is you need to have a good mentor.
Good mentor.
If you have a good mentor, then you can solve most of the problems.
Good mentor, yeah.
Because good mentor also speaks to good company as well, probably.
But the important part is, I know sometimes mentors do not want to be involved in your personal life, right? But you can't be a mentor not be involved in someone's personal life, because you need to understand if this person doesn't perform at work, right? You need to understand what the issue is. You know? So every time, you know, almost my girlfriend passed away.
Yeah.
So if I've got a problem, you know, and Ashley's been always, he's been there for me.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Even before my girlfriend, when I've got problems at home, he knows everything. You know, because at the end, it's gonna affect what I do at work.
At work, yeah.
And he needs to know about it.
So in a sense, that's I want to use this word. It's like it's a father figure, in a sense, at work. Ooh.
Why I'm laughing is,
Yeah.
I actually told my therapist this, that Ashley is like a father basically to me. He's able to listen to me, right, and provide a solution sometimes.
Sure.
Or at least provide a path.
Give you options, good options.
Here's the options,
Yeah.
right? You take your way, lead it, you know.
Man, that's so That's a very beautiful story, and it's like you wish each and every consulting company to have something like that. And I think sometimes managers or people, mentors, are too busy running around because they have a company to run than having to sit down and having to look at all these things. But to have someone that actually sits down and wait a bit and try to get into personal, because usually small companies are small. That means everyone knows each other. You know everything. Everything about each other. But man, I really appreciate this conversation. It's so funny enough, it's even an hour in.
It's an hour now.
Yeah, it's an hour in. But thank you so much for coming through, man. I really appreciate it and the knowledge that you have actually shared. I think I'm gonna call you again, and then we can just have maybe a more relaxed conversation.
No, you must definitely. No, I'll try, man. I'm just that I've been quite busy.
Sure.
I know you've been wanting me here for a long time.
Sure. Yeah, I've been calling you.
It's just difficult, you know. But I'm in Cape Town until probably end of July. Mm-hmm. Then July, August, end of July, I'm traveling. August, I'm traveling.
Okay.
September, I'm traveling. So if you want me around, I'll be in Cape Town.
I think we'll talk on WhatsApp and then we can just take it from there. But thank you so much, man, for coming through, for sharing the knowledge, and I'm sure some young electrician, electrical engineer out there can get a lot from this. But thanks, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Pendoka.
Sure.